Hey everybody, it's Randy with Carchaeology, and I want to take you with me on a recent trip to the American Honda Collection Hall in Torrance, California for one of their Cars and Coffee events. Now, while this is primarily a Honda event, there are some other vehicles that show up, but I figured it was a perfect opportunity for me to bring out CRX Squared, the twin-engine Honda CRX, to share with the crowd, and everybody loved it. It was really fun to show that to the Honda faithful. I met up with some friends and fans of the channel there. Thank you so much for the photos and video there, and also to walk around and see all the amazing other Hondas on display. This is an event that I believe they do every couple months or so. Honda themselves put out a lot of historic vehicles for everybody to check out. This recreation of or restoration of a Chevy truck that was American Honda's first delivery vehicle here in Southern California was a spectacular item. I love this thing, the way it was done with the white walls, the logos, and that sort of thing. And of course, in the back, some early Honda motorcycles. And that's really where and when Honda started here in the U.S. by bringing over their motorbikes and then, of course, expanding into cars in the 1970s as well. In any case, as I walk around here, I'm going to show some highlights of some of the cool stuff that was on display. There were some Honda and Acura race cars that were on display there, brought out by Honda to show the crowd, and definitely people loved those. These are some early shots before the crowd really rolled in. I like to get up early to these events when I can to get some clear photos of everything on display. Here's some more vehicles lined up in right up in front of the building here, including the Mugen CRX prototype here. This was an amazing car to see, very similar to my car and the outfitting of it when it comes down to that body kit and that sort of thing. But this was it. This was ground zero for the Mugen body kit and performance upgrades right there. So this is the prototype and a spectacular car that's a part of the Honda collection there. Geeked out a lot on that. My apologies for perhaps spending a little bit too much time on this, but that's it. That is the first generation CRX Mugen. Let's see, looking at everything else here lined up, a couple more pictures of that little CRX. I would have loved to have gotten my car up next to that to shoot some photos of the two together, but that was not in the cards. Let's see, modern Honda SUV here set up for an off-road race of some sort. Some other cool tuner Hondas there on the sidewalk leading up to the American Honda Collection Hall, which I will show you inside of towards the end of this video. But first, let's wander around and look at some of the cars showing up for the event. I thought that rig was pretty awesome. Pulling in, loved this GB500. There were some British bikes on display as well. This company here had some beautiful early British bikes. They do restorations on those. Love the little Honda Monkey bike and the little Vespa plaid seat. Bring it on, all over that. Let's see, a couple of other neat cars out there. This nice Mercedes sedan, a super beautiful convertible. Again, this Cars and Coffee is open to all makes and models. However, I will say that it was primarily Honda and Acura specific as far as the big crowd of it, and all shapes and sizes of Honda automobiles were on display, including this really funky little Honda truck. This was something that I'm not familiar with, definitely not a U.S. market vehicle. The Honda T360. Out in the parking lot, again, every arrangement of Honda that you could find, and a ton of people truly into them, be it your 80s Honda that's been very well maintained to whatever else. I will say this little Fiat X19 was an absolutely gorgeous car, one of the nicest I've ever seen, and seeing it sitting next to this Honda Del Sol, which is a bit of a soul brother to that, was super cool. A couple of hot rods on display as well. Here's another early CRX there. A lot of tuner cars, but also some stock cars as well. People that are collecting and maintaining and restoring the early 70s and up into the 80s Hondas, even up into the 90s. Some of the hot rod vehicles that were out there were wild as well. Beautiful Corvair, a handful of people riding around on the Moto Compacto electric scooters that are now out by Honda. Cool little things. Love the 16-valve Honda. Twin cam engine in there. That's a hot hatch if there ever was one back in the day. Beautiful Acura there, and of course the S2000s are great cars, and those things are becoming highly prized. Here's a couple of great 80s era well-preserved original Hondas here. Absolutely stellar one. Mercedes wagon, just to mix it up a little bit. This Honda 600 was super wild. Saw it and heard it pull in. There is something very unstock about what's jammed underneath the hood of this little Honda. I don't know what the whole story is, but it was certainly fun to see. Lots of Honda motorcycles came in of all shapes and sizes as well. It's amazing to see the array of those bikes out there, and I'll show you a couple of other great ones as we get into it a little bit farther. Some European exotics as well showed up, but again, it's mostly Honda. But really, nobody was throwing shade if you showed up in your Riviera or rode your BMW, whatever it was a really, really welcome, fun group of people and a great variety of machinery on display. Loved all the different bikes. Honda has definitely made some great motorcycles, of which I've owned several in the past, and seeing the variety out there from the early bikes up to some of the modern stuff was really, really super cool. Let's see. As we roll through the bikes here, big and little, a little bit of everything, and a whole lot of cars. Now, this is all at the Torrance Honda Center, which is basically their headquarters for Honda of North America. This was a bike I've never seen before, the NM4. This is a really wild sort of Batmobile looking bike that is a factory Honda build, and it was for sale. $5,800. You could have ridden this bike home. Cool Impala showed up, big old wheels on it, nice stance. Some more odd Hondas with a few Mercedes and stuff thrown in there as well. Nice early Civic. This was a beautifully done car. Honda Insight. There's something you don't see very often, but you're certainly going to see one at the Cars and Coffee at the Honda Center there. Another early Civic here, really badass build, modern motor in that as well. Superman on display on that one owner's car. Another Trek Acura there. Loved the couple of NSXs that were in there. This sort of drift inspired BMW was cool. Great plate on that Porsche Carrera. Cool El Camino rolling in and rumbling through the crowd. Another nice Honda S2000. Those are great cars. Super, super cool when I see those, and they're growing on me greatly. Definitely a neat machine. Corvair van, that's something I didn't expect, but certainly enjoyed seeing, as well as the full array of Honda weirdness, like this weird little Montana registered van. Couple of odd ducks in there, some old school hot rods in the lineup with Japanese cars. I thought that was super fun to see that. And then this really attracted my attention. This was my childhood dream bike. This is a Yamaha motorbike, and this particular one was absolutely mint in the wrapper. Still had the hang tag on it. This thing had no miles on it, but this guy brought it out to show it and share it, and it absolutely made my friggin' day. I wanted one of these things so bad when I was a little kid, but it was just too much money to talk mom and dad into. But man, that one was great. Honda Elements. There was a huge group of Honda Elements that showed up. They kind of set up their own little spot in the parking lot there to bring over their wild array of boxes on wheels. I owned one of these cars when they first came out, and it was fantastic. And it's really fun to see the cult following that these things have. This group here, apparently they do all sorts of different gatherings and tours. There was a wide range of elements there, from custom models to very stock ones that are well maintained, and it was cool to see all of these. It really made me want my Element back, because it was the perfect utility vehicle, the Swiss Army knife on wheels with a Honda engine that just won't quit. And my favorite part is their logo on here. Check this out. Well, that was fun. But this one right here, till the wheels fall off, the Element Society. And those guys, you can be driving them for a long time before those wheels fall off. Now let's wander inside the Honda Museum that is a part of this whole place. The American Honda Collection Hall was an absolute treat to see. From seeing modern concept vehicles to some of Honda's history, everything was on display there and open to the public for everyone to check out. There was also a nice display of drawings and conceptual art. Many of these things were from Art Center students, of which some of the students were on display there doing drawings and things like that. But it was really cool to see that. And of course to see their whole collection of machinery, be it motorcycles, be it automobiles. They even had lawnmowers and generators and all the different things that Honda has made over the years. Display of many of the awards that they have won, Car of the Year awards and things like that are all in a big showcase. Fun to see that stuff there as well. Some wild concept bikes with Honda power plants, as well as a whole line of Honda concept cars. Now, these were actual Honda production vehicles, or not production vehicles, but concept vehicles that were shown at auto shows and things around, and are now on display there for the public to see. Beautiful first generation CRX there, definitely a turning point for Honda when it came down to their market here in the U.S., as well as some of these bikes. The V45 Interceptor was a very well-received Bike of the Year bike back in the day. Honda CBX, the six-cylinder superbike, those things are incredible machines. And then the not-so-incredible machines, the little Honda Hobbit scooters, and then, of course, the first-generation Goldwing. Honda ATC, this was beautiful to see. Check out those crazy balloon tires on the first of the ATVs from Honda. Some of Honda's racing history is on display as well, be it Formula One style cars or open wheel racers to some of the vintage Hondas and ephemera to go along with that. Red Bull outfits, some of the awards won by Honda racing teams on display there as well. Off-road racing, road racing, a little bit of everything going on there. And it's really, really fun to see. This is a great museum, not a huge one, but the array of vehicles on display was very well worth checking out. I highly suggest you check it out when you can. I don't know if this is open all the time, but it is open during their Cars and Coffee events, which if you go to HondaCollectionHall.com, you can find information on there. Going through the timeline of motorcycles once again, the Honda Superbikes were really, really fun to see. The oval piston NR Honda is a spectacular bike. Wrap your head around that, an oval piston. Very odd, very innovative. Honda CBR, definitely a wild, super fast superbike, and fun to see. Let's see, moving on to some of the street bikes there. That was a cool one there. Here is a modern Goldwing with all of its stuff. The Honda Rune, which I think is one of the craziest things that Honda has ever produced on wheels. To imagine that this thing was actually a production bike just blows my frickin' mind every time I see it. Here's a cool Honda Element or a design model. There are some other Honda branded conceptual designs and projects there on display. Some of these models and things were really, really awesome. These are things you don't normally get a chance to see, but in a museum setting like this, it was really fantastic. I'm glad that this stuff is out where the public can see it, where people can be inspired by it, and it's not just sitting in a warehouse or in a closet somewhere in some Honda designer's office. The stuff is out there, and this shows why Honda and Acura have been so successful in the U.S. and so innovative over the years. Check out this line of concept cars. I really get off on this sort of stuff. This is future car stuff that didn't quite make it to the lot, obviously, but the design and inspiration that goes into this has definitely affected production model cars from that point on. So fun to see this stuff. I mean, really cool to see these concept cars on display and still looking fantastic. In any case, back to a few more of the motorcycles on display. A little bit of a duplication of some photos here. My apologies on that. But any chance to see that Honda Rune again, I am all over it. I did get a chance to ride one of those once, and it absolutely blew my mind. Very heavy at slow speed, but once you're rolling, it was really comfortable to ride, and the power that that engine has was definitely spectacular. Again, my apologies for a little duplication of some of the photos here. This Acura high mileage car was super fun to see. Let's see, onto these weird things. I don't even know quite what that is, but I loved it. Now back to some things you haven't seen. Here's some other early Honda motorcycles that were super fun to see. Honda 750, obviously a classic. The Honda Elsinore dirt bike, another game changer. And game changers are really what it's been all about with Honda in the U.S. This display here showed a lot of Honda's early history, including the motorcycles on display, as well as images of the very first signs of Honda in the U.S. In 1959, they hired their first employees to staff their showroom here in California, not far from where the museum stands today. And from then on, it all went like gangbusters. Obviously, starting out small with the motorcycles and then working its way to motor cars. When they came in, Honda grew huge in the U.S., and it has been very fun to see their stratospheric rise. Hondas are massive in the U.S. It is a big market for them, and the cars are fantastic cars. Again, strolling around through the lobby there, some great archival drawings and stuff out there of concept stuff. They had art center students there drawing up the next generation of Hondas. Fun to see that stuff as well. They also have a store on site where you can buy Honda apparel and trinkets and goodies, and that was super fun to see as well. I did not buy an Acura teddy bear, but I was tempted. But I urge you to do a little shopping at the American Honda Collection Hall if you get a chance to go check it out. Once again, American Honda Collection Hall. You can see their website right here on this display. And there you go, HondaCollectionHall.com. Check it out. I hope you enjoyed the trip. I sure did. Bye-bye.